Sarah. I live in Horsham and I have 2 children and they're now both at university. My daughter's studying primary education and my son sports journalism. My daughter's just finished her 3rd year and she's got 1 more year to go, and my son's just finished his 1st year. I think my initial fears when they went off, I think primarily it was that they would make friends, that they would feel settled. I remember with my son particularly, actually, the first week, just not wanting to, butt in, but being desperate to know if he'd made some friends and was going out. And then when he first FaceTimed us and lots of people were popping in and out, and clearly he was settling really well, that was great. And then I found I went on to the next parental level, which is 2 or 3 weeks later. So it's great that you're settling and you've got good friends, but are you doing any work? Yeah. So interestingly, when they were looking at universities and the whole question of how close to home came up, neither of them wanted to be very close to home. I think they were worried that if they didn't settle, if it was too easy to come home, that temptation would be quite strong. But then when we went round and did some visits, they also rejected the north of Wales and the north of England as being a bit too far away. So we've ended up with a compromise of one's about 1 hour and 40 minutes away and the other one about 2.5 hours. And that works really well. I think they feel they've got their own place and they're not near home, but we can do the drop-offs and pick-ups in a day, which is definitely a bonus. The empty nest syndrome is slightly easier to adjust to when it's university students that go. You have these few weeks where they're away, but then they come home for quite extended periods of time. So I think we try and kind of live life in sort of 2 seasons, really. So when they're away, it's relatively calm and relatively tidy. And then when they come back, it's, the bustle and banter returns with the washing. And I think the other thing for us that's worked really well is a family WhatsApp group. So that's a really non-intrusive way of keeping in touch. They haven't been overly homesick, either of them. I think they've both had moments. And I did talk to them both about homesickness and how best to manage that. And they both said, and my own feeling as well, is if you can work through it, it's better not to rush home the minute you feel homesick. Trying to get involved with some activities, join a society where maybe you meet some like-minded people, so you feel less isolated and you have a bit more sense of belonging. And I think as a parent of a student, one of the challenges is loving and supporting them from a distance, but not rushing to be by their side every time they have a crisis. So budgeting, yes, that's a new challenge, isn't it, for a young adult? We tried with both of them to sit down and work out a weekly budget. So we looked at what they were going to receive, what their rent contribution was going to be, what we were able to help with, and then set them a weekly budget because that felt like it was more manageable. And then occasionally, obviously, they need a little bit of extra help, or a lot of it's to do with, money not coming in as quickly as it sometimes has to go out and panicking about going overdrawn, but encouraging them that actually as long as they're within their budget, it will all come right at the end of term. It has been overall really a really positive experience, seeing them flourish, but also when they come home, talking to them about all sorts of different things that we perhaps wouldn't have talked about before, or they wouldn't have been as informed about before. And so overall, I think it's been a really positive season for all of us.
Perfect.
I'm Melanie and I've got 2 children at university. My son has done his BA and is now doing his Masters. My daughter is at Cardiff doing a BA in drama and creative writing. They both get their loans paid directly to the university, and they both get maintenance loans. The tuition fee loan goes direct to the university, and that's paid by Student Finance, and they guarantee to cover your fees for the whole of your time at university. And then the maintenance loan is the additional loan, and that gets paid direct to the students, and they have to budget that to help their living costs, to pay towards their rent, any food. Some of them might use it for going out and socialising. The maintenance loan that they get is paid in 3 instalments, comes in September, January and April, and they have to budget in between those times and make sure they don't spend it all within the first week that it comes in. Budgeting is really hard. It's a great skill once they've learned it. It doesn't take too long, because actually the first time they run out of money and they're halfway through the month, it hits them hard. I would always recommend that the students try and save up a bit over the summer before they start university, as their first maintenance payment won't come in until mid-September. Student finance is really straightforward actually, and it's something that you apply for online. You have to apply each year. But actually gets easier for the 2nd and 3rd years because the information is already there, and it's just a case of saying, is this still correct? If you're not going through the means tested approach for your maintenance loan, it's very straightforward. And they will write to you and you sign the form, send it back, and then they'll arrange to make the payments. Part-time jobs are a great way of topping up the finances and gives them that little bit of independence as well. My son was able to work through his last year of his degree. Some of the universities, they won't permit the students to have part-time work, so you have to bear that in mind. The amount of money that they're borrowing is actually a terrifying amount when you think about it, but actually they're not worried whatsoever. They've realised that actually they won't start paying back the loans until they're in employment, until they're earning a relatively decent wage, and then it comes out of their salary. If they're not working, they don't pay it. The loan gets written off after 30 years, so whatever they haven't paid in that time will be written off. I was initially concerned. I wasn't sure how we were going to manage all the payments, but actually my son has gone through university, done his degree and is now doing a master's, and my daughter's doing her degree, and I have my other daughter doing an apprenticeship, and actually we're managing, so it's okay, it is achievable. I absolutely think the cost is worthwhile. It's been a wonderful experience for both of my children. It's not without its difficulties, but they've really enjoyed their time at university. I'm hopeful that it will really lead them on to fantastic opportunities in areas of work that they would like to go into. I certainly wouldn't let the finance side of it stop you from exploring the opportunities.
I'm Steve from Crawley. I have a daughter who's just finished her second year at an Oxbridge university, and my son's in year 13 and hopes to start university in September this year. My daughter was very interested in applying for some highly ranked universities. Oxbridge is the term used collectively to refer to Oxford and Cambridge universities. They have an earlier application deadline, which is in the October, which is also the deadline for most medicine courses, dentistry and veterinary science. It's a very competitive application process, and they also do examinations and interviews. The examinations are held in local assessment centres, but the interviews are held at the university. You can only apply for either Oxford or Cambridge. You can't apply for both in the same year. Regardless of which university you want to apply, the best thing is to start early. Be confident that you can achieve the predicted grades. Make sure your school are confident that you can achieve those grades as well. Parents, I'd say, don't underestimate the potential of your child, that they never cease to amaze you. Some people may think it's more expensive at Oxbridge, but it isn't. You pay the same level of fees at most universities. Oxbridge students aren't normally allowed to work or do paid employment, so you may feel you might have to provide a bit more financial support. But I would say that a lot of Oxbridge colleges are very wealthy, and they do provide some additional generous grants and bursaries if you meet the criteria. Just help them budget and make sure they stick to it. They'll soon learn. If a college is unable to offer you a place but feels you're sufficiently able and you've got the potential, they will then put you in a pool which is then open to the other universities to see whether they could offer them a place, and that's how my daughter got offered a place at her college. Unlike other universities, Oxbridge colleges are usually able to offer students accommodation for all 3 years. My daughter's been in halls of residence for the first 2 years and is now got well, it's still a hall of residence, but it's just a small self-contained house on the college site. One of my top tips is to get a bike. The lecture facilities, seminar rooms and other facilities, including the leisure centres, are spread out, so it's useful to get a bike. They work hard, but they need a break from studying, so make sure they spend time with their friends, they join clubs and societies. The point I'm trying to make here is that they need to be able to reward themselves after they've spent a lot of time studying, so they can relieve some of that stress. Apart from texting frequently, we do regularly contact each other on FaceTime. We do that on a regular basis, at least every week. She's had a great time, and I can't believe where the last 2 years have gone. So if you have an opportunity to go to Oxbridge, make the most of it, try your best, you'll love it.
I'm Denise Roberts, I'm from Brighton, work in a local supermarket. My daughter Shona is at university in Leicester. She's studying textile designs. Shona done the Saturday fashion. The programme done amazing for Shona because she was really shy. She absolutely loved it. She enjoyed, she met lots of new friends that was into it. She really enjoyed it, and this is what encouraged her to go on to university. I would definitely recommend the outreach programme. It certainly helped Shona in bringing her out of herself. It helped her in her line of what she wanted to do for her future, and give her the encouragement she needed to go on to university herself. I don't think she would have gone to university if it hadn't have been for the programme. When she was at school, she obviously done art, so as soon as she come out of school, she then went to textiles and done that for 2 years at college, and then done the art foundation for the final for the 3rd year. Before she done this, she wasn't even interested in university. Shona's nan used to make all her own clothes when she was younger, so yeah, she's obviously got it from her, yeah. Obviously, my fears for Shona going to university was the university she was looking at was so far away. But obviously, she wanted the best one, and I think she's chosen the best one, and so now it's all we can do is support her with that. I never imagined that one of my children would get to university. Me and my husband, we're just normal working people. We've got no airs and graces, and Shona's just managed to she's gone to university. So, if Shona can do it, then, and my child can do it, then I think, any child can.